Welcome to senior speeches for the class of 2021. This week we have 4 speakers. Our first speaker is Carly Thomas.
I hate new situations. I hate not knowing the right thing to wear, the right thing to do, all of that fun stuff. But somehow I've fallen in love with traveling. You know, I see the irony in this, as traveling is all about putting yourself into a new situation. But somehow my brain has wired itself to make this an exception for my adventures. One of the reasons I love traveling so much is the journey. I know this seems stereotypical, treasuring the journey and not just the destination, but I have found this to be genuinely true. Yes, it might be fun to get to the end, the destination, but you'll end up looking back and regretting that you didn't treasure the journey while it was happening. I believe this is the reason I love road trips. Being able to talk, listen to music, and drive is one of the most therapeutic things I've experienced. Some of my favorite memories from the Central Europe trip include playing Mario Kart on the bus with friends and just tuning out to music while looking out the window. However, my favorite road trip was when I went to Nashville with 2 of my friends. Sure, it consisted of me driving for over 7 hours in one day, but I didn't mind. Nashville itself wasn't that amazing, but one of the best parts was creating an extensive playlist with all of our favorite music, which served as background noise to our talks. Now, as much as I love road trips, I absolutely love flying. From the drive to the airport early in the morning, to the terminal's atmosphere, even the plane itself, I found a weird comfort in flying. I fostered this love at a young age, so I have traditions that I try my best to keep. These include grabbing a pack of Lifesavers gummies, a leftover habit from when I hated chewing gum, getting a breakfast sandwich at Starbucks, no matter the time of day, and the very specific tradition of eating at the Silver Diner every single time I'm in the Baltimore-Washington International Airport. Now, you may be wondering why I'm at an airport so much. Growing up, we rarely had a lot of extended family nearby. They were split between the West Coast and the East Coast, so I spent a lot of time flying to visit them, which allowed me to make these traditions over my 17 years of traveling. One of the downsides of traveling so much is that it's hard to declare one place home. I know that some people will just define their home as the place they live, but when I moved to Louisville, that was a massive struggle for me. In my head, my home was still back in San Antonio. This thought was slowly dissolved as I began making friends and finding new places to call home. As I developed this ability further, I started realizing I had homes everywhere. Every little tradition I had became a home. From the Golden Spoon frozen yogurt trips in San Diego to Target trips with friends here, I found some kind of home in every place I've been. I want to thank Starbucks for being international and the most easily available home to which I usually have access. I want to thank my friends, from those I met in 4th grade to those I met just last year. You guys were the initial way I found my home in Louisville, and I can't thank you enough. I want to thank Coach Taft and the entire crew team. I know I haven't always been the most dedicated to rowing, so thank you for putting up with me for the past 6 years. Finally, thank you, Mom and Dad, for helping me learn how to do my own exploring and to always being my first go-to home, no matter what. I guess my final lesson is to not be afraid of something new. Take the long way and enjoy the journey. And keep an eye out for those small traditions you wouldn't even notice. Sometimes the little things in life can mean a lot. Thank you.
Our next speaker is Tinley Sorgel.
Oh my God. I have gone to collegiate for 13 years, and throughout those 13 years, I've had a secret friend. The funny thing is, our friendship was so secret that he didn't even know we were friends until I told him I was going to write this speech. My secret friend is Christian Hansen. Even though he was left out of the Lifer photo last week, Christian is one of the few people that has been at collegiate with me since kindergarten. And I found myself paired with him in an unusually frequent number of times over the years. The most obvious example is that we have shared the same homeroom teacher or advisor for 11 of our 13 years together. Miss Watkins in kindergarten, Miss Hardesty in 1st grade, Miss Timble in 2nd grade, Mr. Schindler in 3rd grade, and Miss Patrick in 4th grade, and Miss Murray in 5th grade, and Mr. Haas in 8th grade, then Miss Bailey freshman year, and finally, Mr. Gahan sophomore through senior year. Now, this probably sounds like a bizarre coincidence, but I think it's the universe's way of telling me that Christian and I were meant to be friends. Now, my first specific memory of being paired with Christian is from the second grade. We were assigned to be partners in class one day and had to list 2 similarities and 2 differences between us. Now, according to second grade meeting, our similarities were that we both went to collegiate and we both had curly hair. Our differences were that I was a girl, Christian was a boy, and while I lived in a house, Christian lived in a mansion. Christian, I distinctly remember you telling me that you lived in a mansion. And yes, I legitimately believe this. After the list assignment, I found myself paired with Christian again when we were both sorted into Ravenclaw in this actress class. Sadly, along with George Benedict and Delilah Lerner, our house did not win the tournament that year, and I'm pretty sure we actually came in last place. 4th grade was also the year that I spotted Christian's doppelganger. Every day when my mom would drive my sister and me home from school, we would see a boy and his younger brother walking home from the bus stop in our neighborhood. They were about the right age, and from the back, these kids really did look like Christian and his younger brother. Even stranger, it seemed like I was on the exact same schedule as Christian's doppelganger because we saw each other almost every single day. The next chapter in my secret friendship with Christian came in the 8th grade. Christian, I have no idea if you remember this, but we were not only paired together to read the balcony scene from Romeo and Juliet with Sacha Sukumar, but we also had a baby together in biology class. The real pinnacle of the year, though, was the class trip to West Virginia. Now, on the way down, I rode on the bus with Layla and Hayes Walker. On the way back, however, Layla decided to ditch me because she wanted to sit with Annabelle Davis. This is how I wound up sitting next to Christian for the better part of 6 hours. For the record, Christian, you were a really terrible bus partner because you slept for most of those 6 hours. In fact, Christian was so boring that I wound up moving next to Aiden Gage for the latter part of the trip. Saddling Christian with Aiden's bus partner, Andrew Adams. Even though Christian didn't know we were friends, I really have enjoyed having a constant companion throughout the years. Not many people can say that they've had a long-term secret friendship, and I really have to thank Collegiate for this relationship. Going to school for 13 years with a class size of 50 is a very unique experience. There are no secrets here, and you could never take yourself too seriously because someone definitely remembers the 8 years of your life when you wore a ponytail and that one flower headband every single day. It can be annoying to have 50 people who know you this well, but at the end of the day, I'm glad I got to grow up with everyone in this room. Whenever I think about my experience at Collegiate, I'm always reminded of this quote from Jeremy Fink in The Meaning of Life. For those of you who are not here in lower school, Jeremy Fink in The Meaning of Life was one of the novels we could read for Battle of the Books in the 4th grade. In the novel, Jeremy's dad leaves him a box to open on his 13th birthday that contains the meaning of life. And Jeremy has to go on a scavenger hunt to find the keys to the box. According to Jeremy's dad, the meaning of life is that people change people. Even all these years later, this particular line has stuck with me. I really do believe that people change people. I think that everyone in this room has changed me a little bit and changed each other, and that is a really powerful thing. I sincerely wish that I didn't have to end my time at Collegiate when we can't even see each other's full faces or all be in a room together, but it's been a really good journey. So really, this speech is my love song to Collegiate, and I want to thank everyone in this room for changing my life, especially Christian.
Our third speaker today is Elizabeth Hellman.
The horizon is what connects our Earth's surface to the sky. It's a point where 2 realms, independent of each other, become one. One might say that the beginnings and ends of different chapters of our lives are synonymous with the way the horizon forms. A few months ago, I created a playlist containing songs that remind me of particular childhood anecdotes as well as some of my future aspirations, which are two separate parts of my life that together will have shaped who I am. I call this compilation of music my horizon. Of course, the horizon is less defined when the sun has yet to appear or has gone away for the day. A pre-risen sun creates endless possibilities for routines to be developed and happy memories to be made once daylight arrives. When I Paint My Masterpiece is a song written by Bob Dylan and covered by the Grateful Dead, a band that my dad wholeheartedly believes to be one of the best of all time. With him, my brother and I would watch the sun come up as we listened to the Grateful Dead channel on rides to school nearly each and every morning for about 5 years. Needless to say, I heard this song a few times. The lyrics describe streets of Rome filled with rubble, ancient footprints everywhere, dirty gondolas, and hours spent inside the Colosseum. Listening to lyrics describing such scenes reminds me of art history class and all the incredible artwork and architecture we've looked at both within Rome as well as many other places all over the world. Nobody knows exactly what Dylan means when he talks about painting his masterpiece, but I believe that being in the presence of a massive fresco or a 1,000-year-old chapel only enhances our sense of creativity and wonder. After witnessing so many ancient masterpieces, Dylan has developed a desire to create his own. I intend to take this message learned from spending time in the car with my dad and carry it with me when I go on to explore the many masterpieces that the world has to offer. The horizon becomes most visible whenever the sun creates color in the process of rising or setting over a vast, unobstructed view. Such colors exist on the cover of Chetty's single, Color Pomelo, which happens to be the playlist's first song. Color Pomelo translates to grapefruit color, which so accurately depicts the shade of pink clouds on the cover. The image is beautiful to look at, but what I love most about Color Pomelo is that it is Spanish. Hearing Chetty's acoustic guitar chords reminds me of a song we would listen to back in kindergarten Spanish class. At the same time, challenging myself to translate more of the lyrics with each lesson causes me to think about the time I'd love to spend in a Hispanic country one day. With listening to Spanish music comes a sense of nostalgia, as well as a wave of excitement about any future opportunities I may have to pursue the language. Like the different colors coming together to form a distinct horizon line between earth and sky, these two emotions from both my past and future worlds coexist whenever I hear Color Pomelo. Queued up next is Brave Enough by the band Arizona. This song resonates with me a lot because, as many of you know, I'm a pretty shy person who often gets nervous and struggles to find courage. Sometimes the nerves are minor, like when I have to work up enough courage to ask a Kroger employee where the peanut butter is. Other times my nerves get the best of me, like when I get lost in thought about attending college this fall, and end up in tears knowing that I will no longer be able to see some of my favorite people each day. But I know that if I sacrifice some initial temporary discomfort by putting myself out there, I will be able to meet new people, discover new places, and make the most of my college experience. Had I not been brave enough to risk feeling uncomfortable in the beginning, I never would have discovered my summer happy place that is Camp Camino or Collegiate, a school that has proved to be the perfect fit. Being able to let nerves exist with any excitement created by new opportunities is what provides stability between challenge and satisfaction. In the same sense, embracing memories from your past while welcoming opportunities in your future is what keeps you balanced. So remember to allow aspects from different parts of your life to coexist, and remember to keep your eye on the horizon. Thank you.
Our last speaker for today is Alex Lynn.
Hi, I'm Alex, and here are some random facts you may or may not know about me. I'm 18 years old, I'm a swimmer, my favorite color is red, I'm left-handed, and I'm gay. While it might not seem like it, one of those things I just listed was super hard for me to come to terms with, and actually took me an entire 16 years to say out loud for the first time. While I hate to admit it, the rumors are true. I am, in fact, left-handed. While now I'm able to live fully out as a lefty and as gay, I actually spent the majority of my life hiding my sexuality. My coming out journey began in 6th grade. Back then, to my peers and me, being gay didn't actually mean liking the same sex, It meant fitting certain stereotypes that society had assigned to gay people. In our minds, straight boys enjoyed sports and video games and said things like, "Sup, bro," while gay guys liked fashion and drama and said things like, "Yas queen, slay." Since I didn't fit either of these categories, I turned to the most reliable source of information I could think of to figure out my sexuality: BuzzFeed. After taking a quiz entitled, "How gay are you?" I successfully determined that I was, in fact, a straight male. However, BuzzFeed proved to be no match against the inevitable thing that would eventually reveal my sexuality: puberty. As 7th grade began, so did my awakening. While puberty usually results in boys developing newfound feelings for their female counterparts, I found myself in a completely different boat. Through movies and TV shows, I started noticing certain things about the male population that I hadn't been aware of before. I vividly remember watching the Maze Runner movies and thinking to myself how living in a camp with a bunch of fit teenage boys with no known escape didn't actually sound that bad to me. In fact, it sounded pretty amazing. It was then that I realized that my BuzzFeed quiz might have not been entirely as accurate as I had hoped. However, since the thought of being gay was terrifying to me due to the negative things I had seen and heard about gay people while growing up, I did everything I could to try to convince the other people around me that I was straight. I tried my best to appear as masculine as I could in any given situation. I would force myself to make comments on how hot I thought a girl looked in that skirt, and I even had a girlfriend at one point. I probably wasn't the best boyfriend, however, being that during one of our dates to the movie theater, I was so afraid that my girlfriend would try to kiss me that I hid in the bathroom for 10 minutes and told my date I was gone so long because I took a massive dump. Pro tip to anyone about to go on a first date: don't talk about your bathroom activities. Your date will not like that. For the next 3 years, the closet became my home. I continued dating girls and trying to change my personality because in my mind, that was the best way for me to be happy. It wasn't until sophomore year that I finally began considering taking my first steps out of the closet. On the night of February 16, 2019, I took that first step. It was the middle of midwinter break, and Molly Stevens and I were driving around the entire city of Louisville with my newly acquired restricted license. Molly had been one of my closest friends since 4th grade, and I knew I could trust her with absolutely anything, maybe even my biggest secret. At the end of the night, while driving Molly home and jamming out to Taylor Swift as usual, I started to get a nervous feeling in my stomach. Soon, the thoughts started racing through my head. Should I tell her? What would she think? What if I'm not ready to tell her? As we got closer to Molly's house, I could feel my heart start to beat quickly. I pulled into her driveway and let the car park. Molly began to exit my car, but before she could, I stopped her. At this point, my entire body was shaking. Barely able to breathe, I said, "Wait, Molly, I have to tell you something." Molly, who was now sensing my nervousness, replied, "What is it?" After a pause and a deep breath, I finally let the 2 words I had been so afraid of slip out: "I'm gay." Molly quickly reached over and gave me a big hug, assuring me that no matter who I liked, she would never see me any differently, which was exactly what I needed to hear. After coming out to Molly, I slowly started coming out to my other friends. While every single one of these moments was unique and special, I couldn't possibly fit all of them into this speech, so here are a few that stand out. There was a time I came out to Bailey Hendricks. While eating dinner at Cane's, Bailey, who always wanted to know the latest gossip, proceeded to ask me if there were any new girls that I liked. Upon that comment, I anxiously replied, "I actually have been meaning to tell you something." A nervous look appeared on Bailey's face. After 5 minutes of Bailey trying to know my secret, I finally whispered across the table, "I'm gay." Bailey, with a sigh of relief, exclaimed, "Oh, good. I thought you were going to say that you had a crush on me." Sorry, Bailey, but you weren't really my type. There was also the time I came out to my friend Alex Blom. To anyone who doesn't know Alex, he graduated from collegiate back in 2019, and he and I share many similarities. We both have very similar names. We both attended collegiate, and we both swam for the same club team. However, the one defining thing that made us different was that he was gay and I was straight, or so we thought. After coming out to Alex, he was obviously very supportive since he had been through the coming out process as well. At the same time, however, I could sense that he was worried I was attempting to steal his identity. The only thing left for me to do is become a student at the University of Denver, and then my mission of becoming Alex Blonde will finally be complete. After coming out to all my friends and family, not only was I able to openly talk about my feelings, but I became a more confident person as well. I no longer felt the need to change my personality, and instead started to live life more authentically and honestly. Coming out helped me realize how the true key to happiness is not acting the way you think others want you to, but to act the way you want to. Now that I'm entirely out of the closet, I'd like to end my speech by giving some advice to anyone else who might be questioning or struggling with their sexuality. As you probably are aware, coming out is not an easy thing to do. There will be moments where you will wish you were born different. There will be times where you will act differently to try and please others. There will be moments where you will hide your feelings about other people because you fear what others might say. But although it sounds cliche, I promise you it does get better. It might not seem like it now, but eventually you will have the confidence to be your true self and be with who you want to be with, and you will never be happier. Know that you are never alone, and that no matter who you are or who you are attracted to, you are the most perfect when you are being your true self. Thank you.